Happy after Thanksgiving!
Everyone, wake up out of your food comas. It's time for Trailer Hitch.
Rise from your slumber. We gotta talk about trailers. We hope that everyone had a nice and safe Thanksgiving. We hope that everyone is enjoying now the sudden onslaught rush of December holidays, be it Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, whatever you may celebrate. We hope that you are enjoying getting ready for that. But yeah, we should decompress first. We should talk about Thanksgiving. James, what did you get up to?
Well, I mean, as you know, as most people know, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Mhm.
So what better way to celebrate that than getting a jury summons? So that's what I had.
You're thankful for civil service this year.
Oh,
sure.
yeah. I mean, I'm thankful that I haven't been called in yet.
Now that you mention it, I did think it was weird that you hit me up and asked to borrow my all-white suit. But now I understand it's just in case you get brought in for a murder trial and you don't think the person did it and you have to grandstand and eventually you're able to swing the jury and make sure that justice is served. Now that all tracks.
I think this would land a lot better if I had seen 12 Angry Men. So sorry, Kevin, this is all lost on me.
I actually feel like I covered it pretty well. It might not have been funny, but damn it, I laid the groundwork.
You can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Turn the lights and grab a seat. Pour yourselves some whiskey neat. It's time to judge the shit out of these future releases by the movie trailers. We're trailer hits. This movie might totally suck, but the whiskey sure is going down fine. Yeah, we're trailer hits.
Kevin, I could barely get through the theme song without just needing to blurt out and come clean. I of course have seen 12 Angry Men. It's like one of my favorite movies, of course.
Well, you duped me. Okay, well, what that just means is in retrospect, that joke just whiffed. And that's fine. That's going to happen every once in a while. But you know what doesn't whiff? These great trailer reviews, because this is Trailer Hitch. Hi, welcome to Trailer Hitch. I'm Kevin.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Trailer Hitch as well. I'm James, Kevin's co-host. And yeah, we're the trailers might whiff, but not the reviews, right? Not our reviews.
Damn straight.
Yeah, we don't only talk about good trailers on this show. I just wanted to preface with that. Like,
I love what you're doing. Yes, you come here for trailer reviews and foreshadowing. But what is Trailer Hitch? Trailer Hitch is a movie trailer review podcast where we rate and review movie trailers on a scale of need to see more, or never need to see. If James and I both give a trailer a need to see rating, we celebrate. Then we go see the movie, report back to you guys in a segment called Trailer in the Rear View, in which we review the trailer in retrospect and talk about the film writ large. Now, granted, yes, these days, of course, going and seeing a movie, far shorter walks, just to our couches, but we are operating under the predication of would we pay $20 to see this? That is the question we are trying to answer here today. But listen, before we can talk about those trailers, it has been a while since we've talked about a movie. Now, granted, is that because trailers need to step their shit up? Yes, but that's also because there have been a few trailers that we've given need-to-see reviews to, but maybe one of us has a certain streaming service that the other doesn't have, and so it makes it harder for us to both watch that film, or perhaps in James's case, it could be for something that we did not give double need-to-sees to, but we just have to talk about it, and that will become abundantly clear once that comes up. This is, of course, drive-through reviews. Now, drive-through reviews are where we talk about a film that one of us has not seen, but it has come up on the show before. And with that, James, what would you like to talk to us about today?
Of course, I would love to talk about the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, the movie that...
I don't believe you. I don't believe that you went out of your way to see that.
It was very much in my way, I promise you that.
Okay.
This is so cool! We've seen my master. My master's master.
Concentrate.
My master's father.
Impressive.
My master's father's master.
Emperor Palpatine? I don't believe it. Less talky, more fighty. A time of joy. This is Hooray! A friendship. A family.
Master Skywalker.
My son. I mean, these binary sons.
All right, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary listeners, this is the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. It took the world by storm, and by world I mean just people who like Star Wars and anyone, and of those people, only the ones who have Disney Plus. So maybe not the entire world.
Yeah, that was an ever shrinking window. But hey, you are in that window. You flew the coop. You went out. And by went out, I mean you stayed in because you're a responsible person.
That's right.
And you watched that movie. Now, my impression of that trailer was, yeah, this definitely feels like it is geared toward kids or super diehard Star Wars fans. I'm neither of those. Now, as someone who is half of that statement, you are a diehard Star Wars fan.
I'm a kid at heart.
Aw.
I mean, my wardrobe would definitely tell people that I'm just a big child with all my Star Wars t-shirts, but
I mean, like, I only have band t-shirts. I look like I didn't grow a fucking day out of 17. So I feel
yeah,
like,
I mean, don't sell yourself short. You have a really sick Comedy Central logo t-shirt that I'm a big fan of. God, that's a great inside joke that no one gets but us.
And it sucks because in order to explain the joke, I have to look like the most pretentious douchebag on the planet.
My favorite thing.
It's like playing chess, but the only piece I have is a king, and then you move one piece, and I'm like, well, I'm fucked. Yeah, it's a t-shirt with the logo for the Criterion Collection on it, which I don't really wear too much anymore, mostly because James made fun of me into hiding it. He calls it the Comedy Central shirt.
I've caught it underneath like a button up of yours every once in a while. I can see the C peeking out. And I usually keep it to myself because I'm like, oh, he's hiding. All right.
You've just been so cruel with a fucking lowercase c that could go on a Criterion Collection shirt. Yes. Anyway, Lego Star Wars. Let's talk.
I mean, you nailed it on the head. This is for a very specific audience. I am in that audience. We even said in literally our last episode, I even admitted, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely something that even watching this trailer, I wouldn't even recommend this trailer to someone unless they're a Star Wars fan, a Lego Entertainment fan, or just maybe a kid. But since I am in that group, I did watch it. And guess what? I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And I knew I would like it. It's Legos. It's mostly going to be just like inoffensive type humor. But I laughed at it way more than I thought. And not only that, Kevin, but it actually like explored the lore and future of what happens with these characters after the Rise of Skywalker, which was something that no one really expected this Lego holiday special to really tackle.
Sure.
That was really cool. It was a time traveling holiday special, and you got to see mismatched characters from across time and space hang out together. But the one thing that it like advanced from the Rise of Skywalker, I didn't think you wanted me to leave you hanging, Kevin. I could hear it in your silence that you just wanted to know.
It's a tense silence, yes.
Yeah, what was it that Lego movie expanded in this Star Wars universe? It is the fact that Rey starts the special training Finn to become a Jedi.
Well, that's good that they listened to John Boyega's critique of the new trilogy then, I suppose.
I mean, as pretty much everyone would agree, John Boyega's character Finn really got thrown to the side in this trilogy after The Force Awakens, and people were really bummed because you watch The Force Awakens, it's like, who's the main character of that movie? Rey and Finn equally. Like, done. That's the answer. And then from The Last Jedi and then into The Rise of Skywalker, it's just like, well, he's just a side character now. And at least The Rise of Skywalker went in the direction of like, although it wasn't exactly clear in the movie, and that's a whole other topic, and you could listen to our review of The Rise of Skywalker if you'd like to. But what it was trying to get across is that Finn is Force sensitive. And whether or not you were able to get that from the movie or not, that is what they intended. And then with this Lego Star Wars movie, it's like, he's not just Force sensitive, like, say, Maz Kanata. He could be a Jedi, and Rey is going to train him. And so that was really exciting. It's fun. It was silly, and it's, it got me in the mood for the holiday spirit.
That's cool, man. Okay, now, just because we were talking about the original Star Wars holiday special.
Oh my God, right.
When we reviewed the trailer for this. Now compare this, the Lego Star Wars special versus the original Star Wars holiday special. Which would you say is better?
Oh my God, the Lego holiday special. Are you kidding me?
Okay. Okay. And I think especially the "are you kidding me" at the end really does sell. Okay, it is miles better than that.
Yeah, and also it's like the 1978 Star Wars holiday special is like, it's like almost 2 hours long. It's ridiculously long. And this is like 40 minutes.
Breeze.
43 or something like that. It's just a light, good time. On that runtime alone, there's no like weird shoehorned in songs in there that feel like Jefferson Starship was in the 1978 Star Wars special.
What?
B. Arthur was in it.
That I'm cool with. She is an ex-Marine, so it makes sense.
No, she's awesome. I'm just saying how random it was.
Oh, of course.
It was very much like a cobbled together thing. Like nothing was really, there was animated segments for no reason. There was like a Wookiee cooking show. It was so weird, man. I really think you should watch it just to understand how bizarre it is.
Yeah, I would love to hear we built this city on midichlorians. Sure, fuck. Why not?
Those weren't a thing yet, Kevin. Come on.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this is light years better than that, I think.
Okay,
so
cool.
There you go. I'm a big fan of it. Would I recommend it to Kevin? No.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, I was about to say, because I was like, oh no, you are kind of selling me on watching it, and especially the 40-minute runtime, and then you just came in with the hard no, and I went, oh, okay.
I guess, don't go out of your way for it.
Fair enough.
I do think if you happened to find yourself in the situation where you were watching it, you might find some entertainment in it.
Cool deal, man. All right, well, that is your drive-through review. Now we're going to swing through this other here drive-through across the street, so that way I can pick up something for you, because this is a trailer for a movie that premiered on Apple TV+. Now, the only reason I have Apple TV Plus was because I got a new Mac product this year, and Apple gives you a free year of the service with a new machine. And for the most part, has there been anything I've watched on this service? Absolutely not. It is a goddamn wasteland at Apple TV Plus. But they did have something. They had a movie that James and I not only talked about, but both of us gave need to sees to. And that is Sofia Coppola's new movie, On the Rocks.
So Dean's going away a lot, huh? Raise your hand if that sounds fishy. Males are forced to fight, to dominate, and to impregnate all females. He should be worshiping the ground you walk on. And if he's doing something dishonorable, you need to know.
Can you just act a little less excited about this? Because this is my life, and it might be falling apart.
All right, pour one out for James, because unfortunately he doesn't have Apple TV Plus. Now that said, is On the Rocks worth it for him to get Apple TV Plus, or at least to get the free week? So James and I talked about On the Rocks, I want to say a month or two ago. A trailer came out for it. This is the trailer from the new Sofia Coppola movie that has Rashida Jones in it and Bill Murray. And the general idea of the story is Rashida Jones's character starts to get an inkling that her husband, played by Marlon Wayans, is cheating on her. And she confides to her dad, played by Bill Murray, and says, yeah, I think something might be kind of going on. I don't know, like a relationship just kind of feels cold. And then he gets it in his head, oh yeah, he's 100% cheating on you. Now I'm going to kind of do some spy shit, like you and I are going to tail him and follow him, and we're going to get proof of it. So overall, I think the movie's decent. What's interesting about it, and we called it out in the review for the trailer, is it does feel like it is a melancholic take on the romantic comedy. Even though it is definitely going for kind of like that light and breezy entertainment, you can definitely tell through the cinematography and through the utter lack of connection between the married couple in this, that there isn't a lot of love here, and there is something inherently sad about it. And I think Sofia Coppola is a really fantastic director to mine that melancholy out of it. This is also set in New York, and this is very much one of those movies where New York is a character.
Ooh.
That trope is everywhere. Something that's kind of interesting about it, though, and the way Sofia Coppola does it, I got a pretty strong vibe that Sofia Coppola was inspired by a lot of Italian movies. Specifically, I'm thinking of like Federico Fellini movies.
Oh, yeah, of course. Fellini? Yeah, I'm a big fan.
You rep the Dolce Vita, or are you more an Armacore guy?
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant Boyardee, as in the chef. Sorry, my mistake.
Well, they're both Italian, so I understand the mix-up. But Fellini's movies definitely would paint Rome and Italy in a very loving eye, but would also make it a point to show that the people who are in this big, beautiful place are sad as shit. And that is very much what Sofia Coppola is doing with her characters in New York and On the Rocks. And so I think that that is a very cool source of inspiration from it. And a lot of my issues with it come from the story and specifically with the Rashida Jones character. I remember calling out in the trailer review, hey, it doesn't really seem like Rashida Jones has a lot to do in this, because it's ultimately Bill Murray is the one who is kind of pushing the narrative that, yes, her husband is definitely cheating on you. No, I'm going to be the one that put you in this car so that way we can go and tail him. And that is 100% what the movie is. At one point, Rashida Jones's character refers to herself as boring. And you kind of feel like a friend where you go, no, of course not. You're not boring. But the next time you have a game night, you kind of skip by her in the list because she doesn't really seem to do a whole lot. And I understand that the character is meant to be shown as someone who is lost. But that said, I just think that there are ways to make that funnier in the context of a romantic comedy. And honestly, I just don't feel like I know a ton about Rashida Jones's character because she has writer's block and you never find out what book she's writing. And I feel like that's a pretty big missed opportunity because I feel like that could really give you some insight into who she is as a person. Now, granted, you and I talked about this last episode with The Happiest Season where, but people like to just insert themselves into romantic comedies. And to a degree, the blank slateness of the characters, for some people, is part of the appeal because in that way it's easier for them to kind of throw themselves into the story. But I just wish I had a little bit more out of her. That said, I mean, Bill Murray's such an asshole in this and he's still super charming. And so that's a huge selling point for it. So, James, you don't have Apple TV Plus. Should you get it for On the Rocks? I would say you could totally wait, man. If you want to kind of like build up more of a reservoir, Boy State is also very good on Apple TV Plus. I hear Ted Lasso is good. I just haven't made the commitment to watch it yet, but I did watch Defending Jacob and enjoyed that. That was also on Apple TV Plus because you got to rep your boy Chris Evans. So right now I'm counting 3 things where I'm like, oh yeah, James would probably really enjoy this. But that said, I think I might wait until 5 things and then try and convince you to get Apple TV Plus. But as of right now, I would say if you happen to walk by a Redbox and you see it advertised and you can go, I could just fucking cut the middleman right here. Yeah, just do that. I would say it's worth a watch, but it's definitely not something that you should stop everything you're doing and figure out if you want to commit the $5 to $6 a month for Apple TV or not. And I think especially to your taste, James, I think I could see you watching it and maybe not being quite as harsh in terms of like the fact that the character doesn't really seem quite as fully developed. But at the same time, I could also see you looking at the melancholic aspects and here's another pretty shot of New York and being like, fucking snooze. So
I mean, the whole like New York is a character trope just always makes me want to watch They Came Together, which
dude, that fucking movie just nukes the trope so hard from orbit, and I love that.
Well, I mean, really, and this is my recommendation, completely off course from an old movie now, but like if anyone likes romantic comedy or likes to make fun of romantic comedies, either one, They Came Together is for you.
I don't necessarily take pleasure in shit-talking the romantic comedy, but that said, I do really enjoyed how they skewered and they were giving it a piss take. I don't feel like they were outright flipping off romantic comedies.
Oh, no. Well, and that's
like it was made from a place of love.
It's why Mel Brooks movies are so good. He has a love and a passion for what he's making fun of.
Exactly.
And it comes through in the movie. So
definitely. Yeah. And another sleeper came out a couple of years ago. I liked Isn't It Romantic? That was with Rebel Wilson.
Yeah, I did too.
That was another good kind of riff on romantic comedies and kind of deconstructed them while also really embraced them.
That's
too.
a good parody right there.
Yeah, it was. Okay, well, hey, we're done talking about movies. We have to talk about trailers. It's called Trailer Hitch, goddammit. Let's say, James, you and I, we're in LA right now. Things are starting to lock down again over here, so before that happens, let's take one more trip, shall we? We're going to take one more trip and spend one night in Miami. Because the trailer we're talking about is One Night in Miami. What's up?
Minister Malcolm X.
Good news, the chariot is coming.
Who's the greatest? That's right. Jim Brown takes the ball.
Your record is going to stand the test of time.
All together, yeah. I was made in America, land of the free, home of the brave.
This movement that we are in is called a struggle because we are fighting for our lives.
Power. Black power. I like the sound of that.
I done made it to America. I'm amazed that America brought to America.
Party in the city where the heat is on.
Welcome to Miami, because this is One Night in Miami. This is directed by Regina King, written by Kemp Powers. This is starring Kingsley Ben-Adir, Eli Gorey, Aldous Hodge, Leslie Odom Jr., our random shout-out, because we here at Trailer Hitch like to give random shout-outs to cast and crew members because the top-billed people tend to hog all the credit. We would like to shout out Trent Smith, who is the visual effects supervisor. Hey, Trent, good job, bud. You did some visual effects supervision for a movie. So this is One Night in Miami. So this is based on a true story where Malcolm X, Cassius Clay, better known as Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, who is a running back in the NFL, and Sam Cooke, who is a soul singer, all got together and spent one night together. And these were four titans of their era. So obviously Malcolm X is an incredibly famous activist and philosopher. Muhammad Ali is like, if you asked one person who didn't know boxing, name one boxer, they'd probably name Muhammad Ali. Jim Brown was setting records as a running back. And Sam Cooke, for the most part, is credited for effectively creating the soul music genre.
Yeah, I'm a massive Sam Cooke fan. I've always been a Muhammad Ali fan, too. And I don't even like boxing. I did a report on Muhammad Ali in like grade school or middle school, and I was just like, this guy is fascinating.
Yeah, even if you don't like boxing, for the people out there who like hip-hop, though, I know a lot of rappers have actually specifically credited Muhammad Ali for just an inspiration for wordplay. I watched a documentary called When We Were Kings about him. And at one point he said, I'm so mean, I was able to hospitalize a stone. Jesus, that's clever. He was a really gifted orator as well as being a phenomenal boxer.
Yeah.
And so yes, One Night in Miami centers on these four guys getting together and hanging out. Now, the title cards in this trailer certainly build it up to be that this was a night that changed the course of history. And how does it change the course of history? My best guess is Malcolm X brings some of his philosophy and brings it to these entertainers, whether they are in sports or whether they are in music, but more or less trying to get people to understand the cause and the plight of African Americans at the time.
Well, and that's really the crux of what is going to be the majority of our conversation about this trailer is the trailer kind of played it as like a, the story type of thing. You know what I mean? Like you've heard of this One Night in Miami with all these titans. And I was just kind of like, no, what am I supposed to though? Like, I feel kind of dumb that I don't know. And I don't want to let anyone else know that I didn't know this happened. Also, what happened other than them talking, just like discussing the plight of the Black community, especially at that specific time. While that is massively topical right now and is incredible, the trailer just kind of begs you to go like, am I supposed to know what happened that one night in Miami?
Sure.
I personally don't.
Yeah, and I don't either. And I'm more or less just drawing inference from the trailer. Because at one point we do have Malcolm X sitting down with all three of them and saying, like, this is what's fucking going on, fellas. What are you about? What are you going to do? And it's interesting because I know that Muhammad Ali took hardline stances on not just the problems facing the African American community, but anti-war as well.
Oh, yeah.
I know that Sam Cooke has some songs about the plight of African Americans, but that said, I mostly know him just for his super fucking tragic personal life. And I'll be honest, just because I really didn't start to watch football until about 5 years ago.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. That was very much you and your fantasy league. But yeah, I don't actually know a ton about Jim Brown. So yeah, I more or less just kind of have to autofill in my own mind what this could potentially be about, whether this is Malcolm X basically coming and saying, hey, this is what's going on. What are you going to do about it? And then everyone going, hey, yeah, we should do something about it. And then that's kind of the end of the movie.
Glad we had this one night in Miami to discuss that and come to terms with that.
Otherwise, are we going to get into some of these guys not necessarily wanting to take a hardline stance because they figure that it could potentially hurt them professionally in some way?
Mhm.
And if you think that can't happen now, well, who does Colin Kaepernick play for in the NFL? So it's one of those things where, yeah, I do assume that a lot of what will be brought up is still going to feel achingly relevant today, even though the events of this film took place, we're coming up on 60 years ago. But that said, I definitely wish I saw that dramatized a little bit more in this trailer. Because you're right, James, it definitely does come at you under the inference that you have heard about this. And considering that the vast majority of people didn't know about the Tulsa Massacre until Watchmen came out last year.
My brain literally went to the Tulsa Massacre and Watchmen. Like, when I saw this trailer, I was just like, is this another thing that should be in history books that I'm just like completely not aware of what happened?
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. And like, this is one where it's just like, I kind of don't want to look up
anything about it. Yeah, because then you're like, oh, well, fuck, I'll spoil the entire movie for myself. But at the same time, the trailer doesn't really give you too much dramatization here. We do get shots of some characters kind of warming up to the idea and saying, yeah, Black Power, that sounds good, doesn't it? I don't know if that's toward the end of the night and it takes a lot of convincing to get them there, or if that's 20 minutes after they first sit down with Malcolm X. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There really isn't that much dramatization there. I think that would have been fine if you wanted to keep that as a mystery to me as the viewer. If like the trailer really made it a point to build up all four of these men, and then it ends with a shot of them all walking into that hotel room together. Cool. That's an interesting idea for a trailer. But it does really just like quick set all of them up, which I think that setup is effective if what I get after that goes into more detail about that night. But because it doesn't, yeah, I am kind of left at a remove. The only other thing I'll talk about with the trailer, I was kind of in the middle on the use of the hip-hop track. My initial thought was, dude, Sam Cooke's really good. Why aren't you using one of his songs? He's in the movie. You see him with a guitar most of the time. But that said, my brain went to the recent remake of The Great Gatsby, which came out like, oh God, at this point now it's almost 10 years. Maybe it's not so new. The Great Gatsby was set in the 30s, but they used a lot of modern hip-hop and a lot of modern music throughout that, more or less to just bridge the gap and say, hey, even though this takes place a long time ago, this all could still be applied today, too. And they're using music as kind of a gateway into that.
It's a style choice that also can help with the subtext.
Exactly. I think that's what they're going for here. Yeah, because we're kind of truncating that one night in Miami. It's, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that this is what this choice is supposed to represent. But because I don't really see it fleshed out too much more in the trailer, I'm just kind of taking it on good authority that that's what the song is used for.
I'm a massive Sam Cooke fan, so yes, I also feel like, I mean, you could have gone hip hop in the trailer, but you could have like morphed it with a Sam Cooke song. That would have been really cool.
Like, A Change Is Gonna Come. Like, that's such a good Sam Cooke song that specifically speaks to, I think, a lot of what these characters are talking about. Mm-hmm. It's like, I would have assumed that would have been in there. But I assume it's a stylistic choice. I do wish it could have been fleshed out a little bit more in this trailer, though.
Yeah. The music that they did choose edited really, really well with the visuals, though.
Definitely.
I guess I wouldn't want to sacrifice changing up the song for the energy of the pacing of the trailer edit that this song provided, which was really good. There's a lot of intrigue in this trailer, like you said, because it's relatively vague on like, oh, what happened that one night? Even though they don't play it like a mystery, they more or less play it like, oh, you know.
Sure.
But I don't. So I'm intrigued. So there you go.
I'm definitely intrigued. For me, I'm definitely at a need to see more for this because I think there are a lot of pieces here that are super interesting. I'm pretty sure this is Regina King's directorial debut. Let me actually fucking verify that.
I've heard that, and that also got me very excited.
Yeah, like I'm definitely excited to see her jump into directing. I think this is a really good subject. I think all the actors, everyone looks and sounds really fucking close to the people they're emulating. So overall, like, I'm at a need to see more from this, but how about you, James?
Yeah, I suppose I should say where I'm at. I'm also at a need to see more with this one. I liked it. I liked this trailer, but yeah, want a bit more from it.
Okay, so based on that, we will spend one night in Miami, but we're going to go to bed early because we're taking off first thing in the morning.
Wait, I didn't agree to this Miami trip. I'm not getting on a plane. Are you kidding me? Not in a pandemic. We can walk. How about that, Kevin? We'll walk.
Oh, dude, I don't know, man. There's so much chaos when you're walking. Wait a goddamn minute. Speaking of, there's a trailer that we have to talk about, James. It's called Chaos Walking.
Don't come any closer. It's a girl. Never seen a girl before. Who are you?
It's so loud here.
We call it the noise. Happened to all the men on this planet. Every thought in our heads were on display.
Where are all the women?
They're dead. How many are coming?
Thousands.
Come on. I ain't taught you it. Be a man. Fight.
Be quiet. I'm trying.
Come on. Fight.
All right, let's get some hop to our step because this is Chaos Walking. This is directed by Doug Liman. This is written by Patrick Ness and Christopher Ford. This is starring Tom Holland, Daisy Ridley, Mads Mikkelsen, Nick Jonas, David Oyelowo, Cynthia Erivo, Damian Bashir. Our random shout out is going to go to Simon Bloyen, who is the B camera operator, second unit. Hey, Simon, thanks for operating that camera, man. I don't feel like enough people say thank you for operating that camera. So we're here saying it to you right now. You did great.
It's probably an important part.
Man.
I would think.
Okay, so what's going on in Chaos Walking? So we start, ironically, not with walking, but with falling. We have Daisy Ridley in a spaceship, and she is crash landing onto a planet. Thankfully, she is safe, but unfortunately, her spaceship is toast. And then all of a sudden, we get a couple people who are humans by the look of it, who ride up and go, what the hell is this? I'm going to look around and see if we can find anything. And one of these people, played by Tom Holland, breaks off, and he's looking through the rubble, and then he finds Daisy Ridley. And there's a moment of hesitation between the two of them, and all of a sudden, Tom Holland goes, oh my God, you're a... And then all of a sudden, there's this weird sheen around him, and the sheen goes, a girl. Daisy Ridley's like, fuck's that? And he's like, it's just I've never seen... And then this voicing goes, a girl. Oh my God. Everyone on this planet, every man on this planet has all of their thoughts just actively swimming in front of them. Sometimes if they visualize a thought, that thought will actually visualize in front of them. They don't know how it happened. It's just something that started on their planet. And, well, fucking Bob's your uncle. What are you going to do about it? I guess not think perverted shit. So eventually, Daisy Ridley is talking to Tom Holland and Mads Mikkelsen, who looks like he's kind of a head honcho around these here thinking parts.
He's got the hat for it, for sure.
Absolutely. And Daisy Ridley goes, well, what happened to all the women in your planet? And then there's a really uncomfortable silence, and Mads Mikkelsen informs her they've all died. And so you have to figure that this is kind of a more recent phenomenon for them because, you know, they're still here and there's still a few people there who look fairly young. But, okay, you get the inference, well... You're the only woman left alive on this planet. And because men suck, we have to do what we can to keep you safe. So it's Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley strike off into this wilderness as they're being chased by a very stern-looking Nick Jonas. And because I'm sure those listening are familiar with sci-fi and action tropes, I know all of you went, well, fucking Mads Mikkelsen's got to be the bad guy, right? And here's the deal. The answer is, yeah, probably. At one point, the trailer even says, you know what? Fuck it. You've probably already deduced this. And so they throw a shot with Mads Mikkelsen and Nick Jonas hanging out together. And then there is one particular shot where we do see Cynthia Erivo. And I'm like, well, that means there are other women on this planet. And what the fuck? That feels like a really big thing to vault out there in a trailer, even though the shot is as brief as it is. There are also alien-looking things. Again, the shot in the trailer is super brief. And the note that we end on, Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley are hanging out in this here jungle. They're hiding because something is out after them. And Tom Holland is actively thinking, you gotta fight it. You gotta fight it. You gotta beat up that monster out there. Daisy Ridley's like, dude, shut the fuck up. It's gonna find us. He goes, okay, I'm sorry. And his thoughts are like, better fight it. And then some unforeseen force, grabs Tom Holland. And that's the end of the trailer. That is chaos walking. So, James.
Yeah.
Give me the lowdown here. What you thinking? Because I can't hear your thoughts. There is no sheen in front of you.
So, this is a pretty chaotic trailer, I would say. And I meant that to be a pun because it's called Chaos.
It's right there. First word. Everyone's on it.
Chaos walking. So, little tidbit, and we don't really take this into consideration when reviewing the trailer, but this movie has had quite the production hell, and they shot this in like 2017. Daisy Ridley shot this before The Last Jedi even came out, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
I think one of the rumors was like one of the first producers who watched the first cut said it was unwatchable.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So they've been at it, you should say, for a while. I've been hearing, because it's been kind of just a thing that I see an update for maybe once every 6 months since 2017. And so we finally get this trailer. And after watching this trailer, I would say that this doesn't strike me as a type of movie that looks unwatchable. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I could watch this.
Yeah. And look, that might be as good as it gets. But you know what? There's a lot of trailers that strive just for that.
No, it does sound backhanded to just like applaud this and scream not the worst. But I guess given its origin, yeah, I guess that's an order.
But it's definitely interesting. I guess it's based off of a book. I think we had a title card that said that. But I think it's an interesting concept. Hearing what the men are thinking. It is a little bit Why the Last Man, but for women.
Yeah, the opposite route. Well, I was also going to say, I felt like after that movie What Women Want came out, it was like every single sketch show was like, okay, now we're doing our sketch called What Men Want. Now all of a sudden it's like, how about that? But sci-fi and serious as hell. And yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah, it's with how chaotic this trailer was.
Yes.
There is a level of, I think it's supposed to be a little bit, and I think it kind of works at times. Where it doesn't work exactly is when it tries to make me care about like the quote unquote threat, but barely tells me anything about it until Mads Mikkelsen is like, what are we talking? Like 200, 300? And Daisy Ridley's like thousands. And I'm like,
yeah, she's like, something is coming.
And I'm the trailer's almost over. And I'm still like, thousands of what? All the characters know, but I still don't know. And then we get kind of like real quick flash glimpses of these alien type creatures. And then I go, oh, I guess that's what they were talking about. The trailer goes all in on the gimmick of the men are projecting their thoughts. There's no women on the planet. And it pushes the threat of aliens way to the back burner of this trailer until like the last like 20 seconds. And then you're like, oh, I guess there's aliens in it too.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where they do definitely go overboard in explaining, being able to see people's thoughts, which it's one of those things where it's like, I really just needed that first scene with Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley, where I went, oh, okay. Like, I guess his thoughts are being projected. Mm-hmm. And maybe like a throwaway line where you say, oh yeah, that's just fucking normal around these here parts. And then, yeah, if the aliens are a big part of it, then we should get to the aliens. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the trailer definitely is more so trying to build up the connection between Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. On paper, you tell me that, and I'm like, that's a good idea. So what did you grab for this? Well, at one point, Tom Holland, and I think that the root of this is good, is him saying, I don't know if I can trust you because I can't see your thoughts. Like, I don't know what you're thinking at any given time. You might not like my dog, or you might bash me over the head with a rock. And then Daisy Ridley steps up and is stone serious, looks him dead in the eye and says, I like your dog. And he's like, oh my God, she likes my dog. And then it cuts away and into a new scene. And I'm like, that does not have the dramatic impact I think they wanted it to have. Like, just at the baseline level of I like your dog doesn't really tell you too much about whether or not Daisy Ridley's going to bash this motherfucker's head in. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily establish the trust.
Yeah, I guess so.
So it's one of those things where, like, I think the instances where thoughts being projected being interesting to me was specifically at the end, where one, it was actively a hindrance for like the alien threat, but two, I did think that it was kind of interesting that the thoughts that alerted the monster to them and thus put them at risk of being in danger, I call it what you want, either toxic masculinity or tough guy shit. You know, of just like, I'm going to go out there and fight this big, massive thing that's about to whip me through this fucking jungle in a second. And Daisy really having to stop him and be like, that's a bad idea. You have to, like, tamper the shit down.
See,
and he can't, and then that's his downfall. I thought that was actually kind of clever.
That's so interesting, and I do like that take on it. But when I watch this trailer, when that happens and he's saying, like, fight it, fight it, fight it, my instinct was that he's saying that to himself about fighting his thoughts.
Oh, really?
Like make your head blink, make your head blink, make your head blink to not make noise, you know? That's how I interpreted it. But I think yours is way more interesting and rich for character development than mine.
And maybe, I'm sure at some point you and I will both see this trailer again. And for what it's worth, I might watch it and go, nah, fuck, James is right. Like, that's not what they were mining. I heard fight, and I thought he was actively trying to fight. He was thinking about fighting this thing and trying to, you know, stand up and, in quotes, be a man.
Right.
Even though that was clearly the wrong move in that instance. So, yeah. That's legit. But, yeah, that was my take on it. And I did think that did provide, like, a really rich amount of subtext to it. In terms of like the visualization for the thoughts, I'm trying to give it a lot of leeway because I actually saw a movie like this year called The Color Out of Space, which was also based on a book and also was trying to explain something that's inherently unexplainable. If you're reading it and you can envision what that looks like, yeah, like you could probably come up with some really wacky shit. But then it hits a point where you're like, okay, now it's on film. Now you got to make a decision and it's got to be really visually interesting. And I think that's extremely hard. And I brought up The Color Out of Space because that movie has something crash landing in Nick Cage's yard and a color emits from it. And he goes, I can't describe that color. It's the most beautiful thing ever. What is that color? And I'm there with like a beer on my couch just going, purple. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, but it's based off of a book. And I'm not going to expect that filmmaking team to create a color. And just likewise, I'm not going to be able to expect this filmmaking team to like make just like the wildest fucking visual for thoughts because everyone's thoughts are different. And it is kind of silly to like say, oh no, that's not the way to do it because like it is such an abstract concept. But right now it's like, okay, like once I saw Tom Holland and once I heard his thoughts for the first time and I saw that sheen, I was immediately clued into what's going on. And so I do give the filmmaking team a lot of credit for being able to convey that with how they've presented it so far.
Yeah, I think, in a lot of cases, you need to rely on visual effects to get something across. And this is definitely that kind of movie. And I think they could have done a lot worse. Like the shimmer or, noise effect around their head. I think it's good. I think it's effective and it's interesting looking and it's a little different every time, It's not just like a thought bubble like a comic book.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be pretty wild. There is one last thing I wanted to touch on in the trailer, which it was like a blink and you miss it thing because this trailer isn't like designed great.
Yep.
But they hinted at the fact that Tom Holland
is special in some way.
His thoughts are like a superpower compared to everyone else's thoughts or something like that. Again, this trailer doesn't go anywhere with that, but it's just kind of like a thing they felt like they needed to throw in the trailer. Like that's something that should not have been in this trailer. it felt shoehorned in anyway, but even if it didn't feel shoehorned in, even if you found a natural way to get that in the trailer, that might be better as a surprise in the movie anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I like the only thing in the trailer that I can extrapolate is maybe that moment when he visualizes the snake and spooks
that was
Nick
cool.
Jonas.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, is that the superhero? And if that is a superhero, I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of people can visualize a snake. But if that's not the superpower, then you're completely right. Like, if you're not even going to bother to flesh it out, especially with everything else that's being vaulted at you in this trailer, yeah, that can be shucked in the bin for sure.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, do you have anything else to say about the trailer? I mean, positives, I thought the pacing of it was done really well. Decent music, decent title cards and stuff that got the chaos through to the audience.
I definitely think that all the actors in here seem like incredibly game for what they're doing. A lot of them seem like they're really digging into their roles.
Yeah.
I also think that the concept in its inherency is definitely interesting. But otherwise, I'm completely in your corner, man. I know you called out positively the pace, and I understand what you mean in terms of like, yeah, there is definitely like a clear rise and fall in action, and it has like a very clean button at the end. It throws you in right at the beginning. And in that sense, yes, I totally think the pace is good. But that said, I do think that there is a lot of really chaotic editing, but not in a way that necessarily suits the trailer. And that says a lot because chaos is the first word in the title. And I fully admit I had to watch this trailer at least a handful of times before I felt comfortable even being able to say what I thought about it, because it was at the point where I'm like, well, I can see thoughts. That's neat. And then I'd have to watch it again and go, oh shit, no, I missed the shot with the aliens the last time I watched this. Wait, there are aliens? Why isn't that built up more? There is just like so much thrown at you that, yeah, definitely like a trailer that can stop and smell the roses and I can see someone thinking, man, this rose smells good. I think I would definitely like that for a second trailer.
All right, Kevin, I think it's time that we rate this and get on with our walk to Miami, because it's a long walk.
We should also stop for granola bars. Okay, yeah, so Chaos Walking. This is a moonwalk for me. I'll give this a need to see more. It's one of those things where, like, I actually kind of like One Night in Miami. Premise definitely has me intrigued. The pedigree around it definitely has me intrigued. I really like all the actors here. I really, really like Edge of Tomorrow a lot. So if you're telling me Doug Liman is doing this, that definitely has me interested. But as of right now, yeah, this trailer is unfortunately a bit too chaotic for its own good.
Well, Kevin said he would moonwalk this back to a need to see more. I'm gonna crab walk this back to also a need to see more.
Oh wow, okay. So that's, I'm interpreting this as a harsher need to see more. It's at least more work on your calves. So
it's more work. I can't really see where I'm going, but I like it in theory. Does that about sum up
fuck, man,
what I was getting at?
Answers my question and more. So, hey, while you're getting in your thigh workout, I would just like to say thank you, everyone, for listening, and would like to invite you, the listener. What did you think of One Night in Miami? What do you think of Chaos Walking? Do you think that the Lego Star Wars special was better than the original Star Wars Holiday Special? Did you see On the Rocks and you thought that Rashida Jones was actually super fleshed out and I'm super wrong? Whatever your thoughts may be they positive, be they negative, whether they just be other trailers you'd like us to review, feel free to hit us up. You can do so by emailing us at trailerhitchmailbox@gmail.com. Otherwise, you are more than welcome to find us on Facebook. Just search Trailer Hitch Podcast there. You should be able to find our page, and you can shoot us a private message. You can write on your wall. You can do any of those things. Or if you want to keep your message short, say 280 characters short, you can find us on Twitter at Trailer Hitch Pod. Or if you'd like to take a picture and send it to us, you can send that to us at Trailer Hitch Podcast and give some feedback there as well. Or you can leave a comment on the very YouTube video you are watching, if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, I suppose. I guess this goes out to a very small subset of our listenership. But for you people, yeah, you can totally just leave a comment, and we can totally read that off on the next show with your permission, of course. Otherwise, while you are on that YouTube channel, be sure to like and subscribe and rate and do all of the things that help us find more listeners. And if you are not listening to us on YouTube, but say on Stitcher, on Apple Podcasts, whatever your podcast listening services of choice, be sure to do all those things. Rate, subscribe, review, all the things, because those help us find more listeners. And that means that more people can talk to us about trailers. More people can give us thoughts. I honestly saw a lot of people were like super jazzed in the comments of the Chaos Walking in the One Night in Miami trailers. And honestly, if you're listening to us and you're like, what do you mean they didn't love it? Fucking dude, totally write in. Tell us what made you really gravitate toward this. Just feel free to write on in. Otherwise, we are going to take off, but before we do, we would like to say thank you to Danny Schmitz from Lost in a Name for the amazing intro song that you hear at the top of every episode. We would like to thank Rachel Ashley for the amazing cover art that you see on all of her various social medias. You can find her work at Mighty Creations on Instagram. We would also like to thank Jenny Hawks, our Bad Movie and social media correspondent, for her sterling work week in and week out. And we would also like to thank Casey Clowers for the amazing outro, which you will hear momentarily. Unless James has something to add. How's that crab walk treating you? You've been at it for a couple minutes now.
It's turned more into like a crab plank because I'm not moving away from the microphone. But
which I appreciate, given that we need clean audio. I do certainly appreciate
but
that.
It also has given me time to think. And Kevin, I'm not walking to Miami. I'm putting my foot down. I'm putting my crab foot down right now. Could I get you saying, speaking of, cleanly one more time? I was talking over you for it.
Okay. Speaking of.
Thank you.
I went to Juilliard.